Shall we start? Okay, so we are going to conduct this session, database management systems for entrepreneurs. Basically, this session is to allow the people who are trying to set up their own venture, especially the web-based and app-based ventures, to know how database management system can help them. So we are not going into too many technical details, but I will try to cover the concepts which are necessary. So if you see the tagline, we will try to understand why we need it, what is it that it will do for us, and how we can use it. Okay? So let's go to the agenda for the 3-session course. What I attempt to do is, in session 1, we will cover the basic concepts, and I will try to establish the need for DBMS, and we will also take a sneak peek at how the database, especially MS Access, looks. So this session is purely to preach you guys why you need DBMS, and also to tell you the need of it. In session 2, I will think it is around 2 hours. So what we will do is, first half hour we will do MS Access in a very simple way, in a tabular format. I will show you the differences. In the next 1 hour we will try to write the SQL statements and compare our results with what we did earlier. And last half hour we will see how what we learned is easily applicable to MySQL. So that is how I plan the second session. And in third session we will try to connect these things with the web interface, like how exactly can you insert data from your UI or your app into database, or delete records, modify records. We'll try to do the advanced concepts. So that is the brief outline. We'll do 1 session per week, so around 3 weeks time. Let's start with the first thing. Okay. Let me first, because I'm trying to sell you the database, let us first assume that you are now working with a file, and then we will continue. Before going to that, this is a brief overview of basic architectures. So, in case you don't know, when it comes to web-based or app-based technology or software, it is divided into layers or tiers. So the front end is your website or your app, back end is your database server or the hosting server. So if that is the only thing, suppose you get web hosting service and you write entire code by yourself, it would ideally be a 2-tier architecture. So back end is the hosting server, front end is the website you develop. Typically, like in case of Talentry, the architecture is 3-tier. There is a server on which we host things. Then there is a business logic layer, like he is using WordPress. There can be Joomla, like we saw the other day. So that is the business logic layer. And then the front end is your app or your web. And then for me, I think the front end or the client, as sometimes we call it, should be as thin as possible. That is, we should try to keep minimum logic in that client as possible. The reason is, suppose you develop an app, and if you have all the logic in the app, if you are distributing, it's like this big. So every time the customer has to download it, it will be too big, and they will say, no, I don't want this. So keep it as small as possible. In the web page, if the person is trying to browse something, it is too heavy, the logic, it will take time in going to the next page and returning results. So I believe that the client side should be as simple and as crisp as possible, so that all the logic should be on the database or on the backend side. So that is my philosophy, and that is why I am trying to talk about database systems here. Okay? So let's look at what a database is, right? Basically, the proper term is anything, any collection which is organized of data is a DBMS system. So it can, if you have a folder properly organized as per dates or as per names of files, it is also a DBMS, just to give you the technical definition of it. What we are more interested in is a relational database management system. I won't go into the definition of it, but we will see how it is and what are its properties. So right now, MS Access, MySQL, whatever we are saying, we will look at them because they are relational database management systems and they offer us certain advantages. There are certain basic terms involved in database like tables, rows, columns, fields, which are very intuitive to think of. You know, table will be collection of rows and columns. You know what a row is, so I won't explain those basic concepts as well. What we are going to look now is, suppose if your website had just a collection of Excel files or flat files as your backend, where you collect data and dump it somewhere, then how is it now, and how having the DBMS will help you. Okay? Let's take two sample files. This is a sample file, say somebody is trying to create for all the user IDs in Talentry. And this is the second file for all the talents list in Talentry. Okay? We will try to refer to these two sites. So that these two files. And there can be such multiple files. Okay? So I remember first time I logged into Talentry, first ID created was personal. And then it didn't go through, there was something I missed. But suppose the web page doesn't know it, and it just keeps recording every time somebody tries to register. So what we will have is, as many number of times I try to register, it will create one row. Okay? So first time I try Parsuram, I want to write my first name as Prasad. But next time I say, no, let me write it something else. So I write Prasad Tanaji. So it creates another row. Third time I say, no, let me use my email ID. I use this. So it creates another row. So this can be the records. Suppose Talentry, there are two partners. One is Daniel, it's in the other file. Sorry. So in this, suppose you are the first user because you own this website. So in the start you say, okay, let me try out some things. And you create one record. But you know it was just for fun. So you try to again create another record. So all of this just keeps on adding in the file, okay? Now this is the data. I'll tell you, let us try to identify what are the issues with this data. First issue, these things in green, they are user IDs, they need to be unique, right?
Sure.
So if they need to be unique and you don't have a database management system, or you don't have the application layer in between which will try to check that it is unique, you will have to write a code in your web page. If you are using HTML, if you are using Java, whatever, that go to the file and check if there is any Parsuram already there, right? And if there is a Parsuram, don't allow. So that part of code is added to your website, so your website code becomes new, right? That is first place. Second place is these two rows, they are exactly same. But a file won't know it that these rows are exactly same. It will still allow one more row. And to check if the entire row is same is really a difficult task when it comes to coding in web page. So we shouldn't really allow it. Third issue, suppose I don't like you or something and I want to hack your site. I create some bogus ID. Okay, hack your website. I write my last name as not7 because I don't want to give you my real details. And I don't give you my email ID so that you can't come after me. I write ABC. In a file there is no way to check this. So you will have to again write some code in your web page to identify whether my email ID is valid. You will have to send it to send a mail. He has to come back. All that extra work is required. Also there is no way you can know that this is not a valid last name because he will enter it as a character. Even though this is a number, he will enter as a character. And there is no way for your website to know that this is not a valid last name. That is another issue which can be in these files. Now there's suppose some Mr. Beans. He doesn't think what ID he should give, so he just enters first name, last name, leaves everything blank. And there's still a record in this file. You can't really stop him if there's just a file. Again, if you want to stop him, you will have to write certain code in the web page. So if you want to address all these issues, a 100-line code of your website will become 1,000 lines in like 5 minutes because you want to make sure you are doing all of this. And then it will take 10 times more time to process, to open your website, to run a query. Let's take a look at the talents page. What is it? Yeah. So every person enters his or her talents. I go to your website, I want to check what are the talents of Persuram. I enter Persuram, I enter search. How many rows are there of Persuram? 2. Even the Persuram has same core talents in both rows, your website will do one of 2 things. It will either return all these 8, because this is Persuram, this is Persuram. It will return this 4, it will return this 4. Or if you say that only give talents of first Persuram you find, it will give you this 4. Now if these 2 Persuram are same person, it's still okay. But if one Persuram is me and one Persuram is someone else, it will give wrong result. If somebody wants this result, it will give this result. If you say return first. So you don't know how to handle this. You don't want these duplicates here. And again, there's an extra work required on your website. This person has a blank row because he doesn't have an ID. Now I search, I want to know who has a talent in comedy. I search for comedy talent, but I don't get any ID. So if your website is not equipped to handle a blank result, it will crash. Or it will not give any result because there is nothing to tell. So that is another code you need to write. This fellow, he just wants to screw you anyways. So he writes a F word here. So, and he writes it at 1 AM in Madrid time. So next day you wake up, you check your website, what are the new entries, you see, I don't want to show this. Now I'll tell you a typical issue. This is only 2 files. Okay. Suppose there were 100 files. 1 file for talent, 1 file for credit card information, 1 file for location information. There can be 100 files for one user. 1 file for friends, 1 file for seats. You want to delete this. You go in this file, you delete. You say, I don't want this user. Right? But once you delete this, what happens to this? It's still there. This row. So that creates a mismatch of information. You have a user in one file, you don't have a user in another file. So every time your web page tries to take information, it will not get any information or it will give some error. So all these issues happen if there's Excel files, if there's flag files, text files, anything. So there should be an easy way to address this. One easy way is write the code in web page. But even though it is easy, me being a database person won't recommend it because it makes your code bigger and bigger. You never want that. You want your code of your website and apps to be as crispy as possible. And I'm using the words website and app together because we saw the other day websites currently are following the responsive design. That means any website you make nowadays should be such or are such that they open in a similar way on mobiles or on tablets. Similarly, the tablet apps are nowadays being coded in HTML5. So they are not anymore called as mobile apps, they are called as web apps because they can be also equally migrated on a PC platform. So for me or for you guys, both things should be same. Front-end, web or app, it shouldn't really matter because they use the same language these days. So all these issues, what's the answer? Answer is RDBMS. RDBMS, as I said, we won't discuss the definition and all that, but it has 3 major properties which will help us. First is it ensures data integrity. If you are using a RDBMS, you have data integrity. Second is it can help you define constraints. You can define certain constraints. And third is the data is always normalized. Okay, just remember this. It is always like that by default. Now we will try to go one by one. So what are the 4 major data integrity rules that any RDBMS follows? First rule is it has an entity integrity. That means there cannot be a duplicate row in table. So as long as you have MySQL as your database management system or MS Access, it makes sure that there is no duplicate rows. Now you don't need to write a code to prevent duplicate rows because it's already taken care of without any extra code. Second thing is domain integrity. By domain integrity, what do you mean? this guy here. You can now define that this field has to be a character followed by @ followed by a character.com. This guy, you can now define that it has to be a character and it cannot be numbers. So that is your entity integrity. And domain integrity. So those two issues, just because RDBMS is by default having domain integrity, is taken care of. You define what you want, and then there cannot be any chance of having wrong data. You don't have to do any extra effort. Third is referential integrity. As long as one record belongs to same user in this table and this table, as long as they are related, that these are referencing to each other, you cannot delete this row only. It will give you two options, one of the two options depending on the database. Either it will say, this row is related to the other row in table, can I delete both? Or it will say you cannot delete this, first delete that and then come here. So that is how it takes care of this next issue as well. And for many other issues, it allows us define our user-defined integrity constraints, business rules, and that can be done using these constraints. I only picked up to that there are many constraints available in database, but these are some things which I think are most useful for you guys. First is the default constraint. Anytime a new user registers in talent tree, assign number of seats for that user 30. That's the default value, right? You define a field seats, default 30. As long as he is new and doesn't have any history, it will take default value. Another is unique. All user IDs need to be unique. So you define that column user ID, you say it should be unique. Just type unique there. It will make sure that no ID is repeated. You don't have to write any extra code. So such constraints help you prevent all that code and help you manage your data well. So this is by default available. Again, you don't have to do any extra effort there. And third thing, normalization. This is another feature which comes with RDBMS. I mentioned this because this is theoretical part. A table can be in first normal form, it can be in second normal form, it can be in third normal form. By default, it is in all three when you are using the RDBMS. Suppose like I have seen in my work that sometimes you don't need data to be on all three forms. You just need a table which is in second normal form. So in that case, you can ask the table to be in second normal form by using special commands. But by default, it is on all these three forms. Now we will take a look at what these three forms mean and how they help. Okay? So as I said, this is just concepts we are discussing today. First normal form, it ensures atomicity. That means each field of a table will have a single value. If it was an Excel, I can enter my first name, last name, city, occupation. Prasad Dalvi Madrid I. When it comes to Danny, Danny has two occupations. He is doing I, he is doing talent. So in Excel he can enter like this, Alt tab. This is to be read by a web page. Web page comes, checks what is occupation for Danny. It either crashes because it doesn't identify what this means, or it gives both of them, or it gives nothing, or it gives only one. There can be a number of possibilities. It doesn't know what you exactly want, because it's like this and it's screwed up basically. First normal form, when you mean RDBMS is in first normal form, it will never allow you to do this. Anytime a table is created, it will always be created like this. So what it will do is, it knows that Danny needs two occupations. So it will not allow Danny to create a column occupation with two values. It will create one table which has only user information, other table which has only occupation information. So now here, there can be two occupations, right? Talent tree, I, separate, that's it. So this is again by default taken care by your DBMS. You don't have to worry about it in future. Going to the second normal form. This is a peculiar data, okay? I have these IDs. Now talent tree is two partners, Danny and Jay. Both of them say if I want to log into this site, I want to use Talentry. So both of them say my user ID is Talentry, but my name is Daniel. My user ID is Talentry, but my name is Jay. Now you want a unique field to identify this table, like to record this record. What is a unique field in this record? It can be user ID, but with this arrangement it can't be because two users are having same user ID. So what you can do? You can say let it be first name because Danny and Jay is different. But it is like this, then there can be Daisuke from our class, Danny, or there can be the other Daisuke and he may just use some other ID. So now, even though the user ID is different, first name is same. What do? You think more. You say no. The unique thing should be user ID and first name. Combination. Because Talentry and Danny, different from Talentry and Jay. Danny and Daisuke is different from Daisuke and Daisuke. Now, we say, okay, everything is fine. What happens next? Our senior guy, Daisuke Suzaki, he comes into Talentry, he says, I want to log in. He creates ID Daisuke Suzaki. Again, this whole arrangement is cool because now there's Daisuke again. So, these fields, and this can be hundreds of fields. You may want to enter all your data in single table. This can be like 150 fields. All this data cannot depend on a single key. It cannot depend on user ID, it cannot depend on first name, it cannot depend on both of them. This is where the second normal form comes into picture. You have to have separate tables. And that is taken care by DBMS again. So what it does is, it creates 4 separate IDs, Suram, Talentry, then Daisuke. It includes all the information which is independent or of this other table or which is dependent only on this first table. Right? And then it creates another table only for the first names and last names. And there you can have, if there can be 2 users, you just enter another column. And now again, user ID is unique. And you have first names, last names here. Now there's unique thing here. So this is again ensured by database. Let's go to the third normal form. I am a user on Talentry. I have 2 friends. One is Vivek Prasad, one is Fazal. Both of them have birthday on 3rd December. Now, is this birthday 3rd December because this ID is Persuram? No. This birthday is 3rd December because the person is Vivek Prasad. If I add some other person here, the birthday may be different. Right? But the view presented here is Vivek Prasad is friend of Persuram and all friends' birthdays of Persuram is 3rd December. So it looks like this 3rd December is dependent on this, which is creating confusion. So we should remove this confusion. So what database ensures is there's a separate table for friend names where there's only names of friends, and then there can be a separate table of information about friends. So each friend will have its own birthday with friend name as distinct ID again. So this is how the third normal form is ensured by database. So if you see by these 3 normal forms and by these 4 integrity constraints and these 2 default and unique constraints, all the issues which you faced here can be addressed without writing any additional code for a website or the mobile app or web app. Which is why I recommended you to use a DBMS. It saves your execution time. It saves the turnaround time of every search query you run on your websites. If you go in very technical details, some people who are hardcore database specialists may argue MS Access is not a DBMS. But the kind of work we are going to do with it, it is a DBMS for us. Just more details like what it can do and what it cannot. So I just wanted to mention it to be correct, that sometimes people don't refer it as a DBMS, but we don't have to worry about it. Next thing, which RDBMS to use?
MySQL.
Yes, so this is a website which gives recommends top 5 RDBMS to use. MySQL. Why? because it's free. That's it. Okay? Only constraint it has is because it's free and open source, nobody is there to support you. There's a community where you can post your queries and you get a lot of answers. But if you expect that I have this issue and there should be somebody answering my phone on the other end, there is no one. That is the only issue. Which is why sometimes people use MS Access, because it is a standard Microsoft Office product. You open Microsoft Office, most of the times you will find MS Access. Especially these two programming languages. If you are using PHP, as is case of WordPress, it's recommended to be using MySQL. If you are using ASP.NET, it's recommended that you use MS Access because these really integrate very well. Okay? And then these three are actually the paid versions, which are ranked third, fourth, fifth. MS SQL by Microsoft again, Oracle Express and DB2 Express. You can use this if you, when your volumes grow to like millions, you need IT infrastructure and all that, then you can think of these things. Even though I'm recommending MySQL as the top priority, why are we discussing MS Access here? That's the question, right? First thing is, it's part of MS Office. Anybody who has full version of MS Office has MS Access. We have that in iNetwork. So I don't have to download, I don't have to do anything. It's there and we just start using it. Second thing is, user interface aside, the SQL query which you write, select this from this table, whatever, is very similar for MySQL and MS Access. So the way I would recommend doing this is, learn using MS Access, make mistakes because it's easy to identify, and then use MySQL in your website as you need it. Because you want to test somewhere, right? You can test using MS Access. It's available here for you guys. MS Access also is available with a 60-day trial version. You can use it for 60 days for free. Another thing is the learning interface. I will show some screenshots. You will like it. If you are really new to technology and to database, it's a good interface to start learning database. That is why I recommend starting with MS Access. And that is why the training we will do will be first half hour of this interface-based database use, then the SQL queries, and then MySQL. That is how we will do it in this session. And if you want to use it for good for your website, it's also better because this Microsoft support available in case of any issues you have, right? And because MS Excel and MS Office are both Microsoft Office products, it integrates really well with MS Excel. You can import data, export data. It looks and feels like MS Excel as well. So, as I said, you know there's a workstation which we can access, right? The IE computers. Just type virtuallabs.ie.com or something like that. And then if you log into the workstation, this is Microsoft Office where you have Word, PowerPoint, which you all of us use on a day-to-day basis. In the same list on the top, you will find Microsoft Access. It's that easy to be used. Just go there, use it. And then it has got all these screens. You can create a database directly by writing its name here and say create. That's it. You don't need to know any complex command. Your database will be created on your Windows machine. These are some of the screenshots which I wanted to show you. This thing viewed here, it shows data sheet view. If you choose this, it shows a table like Excel file. You enter like Excel file all the values with header and then values and everything. And then it saves as a database table. And if there's an error in record which doesn't match any of the constraints and integrity and all that we saw, it will give you a message that either remove this record or correct it. There's another design view as well where you can define what field and what type and all that it is of. And there's a third one which is not showing up here right now, which is called SQL view, where you can actually type select star from table 1, where the SQL which you will use in MySQL. So in the same interface, you can do it in a very easy way like MS Excel, or and you can have some more complex things like, okay, I want this field to be of this type with this number, this, that. And you can do it in a very technical way as well in SQL view, where you type the actual commands. So that is why this is a good tool. So if you want to see how your query is right or wrong, you write it and then you go to data sheet view, see how it looks, see if it is correct. And that is way to self-test your commands. Right? This is another view where you can create table, you can design table, and the Excel interface I was telling, right? You can import data from Excel, you can import data from another Access file, you can export data to Excel, text file, XML file, PDF file, or you can email it. It will use Microsoft Outlook and send an email. So because it is a Microsoft product, any other Microsoft product which is available in that suite, it integrates very well. So as a beginner, there's no harm in using this. And then these are some more views, like if you want to check log what was table data before making change and after making change, before making deletion, after making deletion. And if you want to analyze the performance of your queries, how much time in milliseconds it took, how much is the table size, how much is the disk space it is occupying, all of this can be done in database tools. So that is how this interface is really useful in understanding what you are doing. As a beginner, I really recommend this because you can visualize, it's easy to learn if you can visualize things. Otherwise, if you are just typing select star, it may take you like 10 minutes to understand what is the mistake you are making. If you use this, you already know what you are doing. You can toggle between the views, as I said, and see how it is. If you write one command, how it affects or what changes it makes. You can use these options. What is it before change, what is it after change. So while learning for first month or 2 months, I would definitely recommend this.
Question.
Yeah.
Can you extract the database from MySQL and then import it in?
Yes. Thing is, you can run a query from MySQL. If you have certain tools like MySQL Workbench or something, it may have facility to export as a text file or a CSV file. And then that text file you will have to, like in Excel you have this facility, right? Text to column.
Okay.
So you can convert the text file to Excel file and then import.
CSV.
Or CSV file as well, yeah. So that way it can be done. And yeah, so that is I think all that I had to show. I found this really good YouTube channel. It has got like around 50 videos and many videos about how to use MS Access, really the basics of it. I didn't really find anything on MySQL yet. I didn't search a lot as well, but for next session I will keep that ready. So for now you can just take a look at this and try to see how the queries look and what changes it. Okay, so by that we will conclude today's session. Next session we will actually try the database.
Okay.
Okay? So until next time.
Thank you.